Okay. Well, Derek, I think we can start by introducing ourselves and what we do.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to the Nubian Hypnosis channel. And again, my name is Troy J. Bacon. I'm a certified hypnotherapist and Reiki healer. Um, I also offer intuitive readings, and that can be for people, spirits, places, um, other things too, maybe objects. And that can go along with energy healing. And my website is nubianhypnosis.com. Today, I'm with my friend Derrick Ivey, and he's also a hypnotherapist and Reiki healer. So, for this video, we'll be talking about how hypnotherapy and Reiki and other energy healing in general, but especially Reiki, they're kind of similar and how they go together.
hmm So yeah, hey everybody, my name's Derek and I am a certified transpersonal and alchemal hypnotherapist, a Reiki master and teacher, and then I'm also an energy healing development instructor. And yes, absolutely, Troy. It's nice to be here, nice to connect. And I also totally agree about, energy healing and hypnosis. It's like I think of it all kind of clumped together as one, um, as kind of they're just different ways to move energy, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I look at it in my mind. Um,
I agree. Um, I was introduced to energy healing way back when I was like 10 or 12 from my martial arts teacher and other sources too. Um, from a young age, young teenager, I started going to metaphysical bookstore, and that introduced me to a bunch of different energy healing modalities. Um, my martial arts teacher also taught me a lot about Tai Chi and Qigong over the years, and
mhm.
fundamentals of traditional Chinese medicine, especially, as well as Lakota shamanism a little bit. Um, I've learned from many other teachers, yoga masters, and um, another Tai Chi teacher or two. And yeah, so my background is really in energy healing a lot and the mechanics of the energy body. And then when I started doing hypnosis, it was very a natural thing I found, and it kind of just happened. I wasn't taught to do this clinically or anything, but when I started working with people, I got into the hypnotic state with them. And then I noticed as we did therapeutic imagery and also spirits would show up and we would move things and change things. Um, I felt I just felt the flow of energy between us moving in my body and in that space. So
Mhm.
they definitely go together.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting about our stories is they're kind of like swapped almost because so originally I went to school to be a traditional therapist. I went to school for psychology. I studied addiction counseling and then I realized like I don't really want to help people in that capacity. I was drawn to that world to help people, but I kept feeling this deeper calling to help people on a different level than as clinically as that career path would have taken me. Um, which I mean, I do clinical hypnotherapy, but also it's like it's a whole different thing than like when I was going to school to be an addiction counselor, and it seemed like a lot of the people that I was going to be helping didn't really want the help. Like they were being forced to be somewhere because of um court orders or their family wanted them to get better, but they did not. So I eventually became a hypnotherapist because I was drawn to that deeper way of helping people, and like people that really wanted the help and were open to it. So then that's actually how I got into energy healing, was through journeying in hypnosis and really deep trance states. And also I've been a Vipassana meditation practitioner since 2012. So that heavily influenced what I do now as a hypnotherapist, as an energy healer, because I knew there was that deeper spiritual realm with all of this. Like, um, and I knew that I could influence energies subtly, but I didn't really know to what extent until I became a hypnotherapist. And then that's when it kind of became so clear, all of this trauma that gets stored in the body. And what we're doing with hypnosis is we're moving those heavily embedded trauma blockages out. And that's one way of doing it, but then you have energy healing. It's just another way to move that same energy out. But I think there's a place for both, and also there's no reason that they can't coexist together. I don't know about your experience with that, Troy.
Yeah, I say that energy healing modalities and hypnotherapy very well exist together. Um, Honestly, with my explorations, and um, I have to say my mind is very mechanical. My dad's a machinist. One of my brothers, actually, both my brothers are kind of mechanical people. Um, and so also I've also always had that desire to understand everything, but I've always been more of an open-minded and spiritual-minded person. So actually, a friend dubbed me recently the ethereal engineer, and I quite like that title. I do like to think of what I do as ethereal engineering and the energy.
Hmm. I love that.
Yeah, I've found that um, hypnotherapy, especially as it's working with the subconscious mind, is energy healing. I don't think
Oh
that
yeah.
argued that it's not, because um, when a person does address their subconscious issues, that not only is a type of mental energy healing, but I found that the subconscious is not just like a separate part of our mind, um, that's separate from any of us or any part of us. It is us. It is each of us,
Right.
unique subconscious, and that is, I think, a super intelligence that we could talk a lot more about another time. But uh,
Hmm.
with that super conscious intelligence, subconscious thing, that is our energy too. And our energy body does also, it's like a kind of a feedback loop. And
Hmm.
really is a quantum thing where our physical body and energy body are pretty much doubles of each other, and they also um, are in in real time constantly in communication with the subconscious.
Hmm.
And hypnotherapy is powerful if you really want to change patterns and things within you, even health conditions that stem from the subconscious.
Hmm.
um, at the same time, I do believe that there's some benefit in just exercising and retraining your body that then communicates with the subconscious, but I found that it helps a lot
Hmm.
to actually go into the subconscious and reprogram from the root.
Absolutely. Like that's kind of why I started a whole program just based on that, because I saw a lot of energy healers that's like, hey, like we're really good at moving the energy, but then it's like it'll just come back because those programs weren't changed in the subconscious. So it's like, I think that with hypnosis and energy healing together, it's such a powerful combination because we can help people to remove those and work through those, like let those energy patterns complete in the etheric body, the mental body, the causal body, like, all of those bodies that are basically blueprints of our physical body. And like you said, a lot in the subconscious mind goes with that. Um, that is kind of like keeping those energetic patterns alive, is, those subconscious beliefs and the way that people are viewing the world through those old programs. It's just like, running an old program on your computer that has a bunch of bugs. Um, it's like if you deleted it off your computer, off the desktop, it's still running in the background um somewhere. And that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know if that even made sense, but that's kind of like in my own mind how I think of it, is like the energy healing is great for helping the energy pattern complete and adding a different vibration to lock into the energy body. But then the hypnosis is wonderful at, actually changing those subconscious beliefs and then continuing that process. um you know I don't know, for myself, like I'll record sessions for my clients so they can kind of listen to go in and listen again, over and over again, like during their day, just to kind of keep that process happening and reinforcing the session that we did.
Hmm.
But I think there's so many pieces to it, which is why it's a great topic, because it's like physical exercise is important, energy healing is important, like all of these things they're kind of like instruments in a symphony. Like they all have their place to make that end result.
Yeah, I agree. I think a symphony is a really great metaphor for all of what's going on. Um, yeah, with Reiki, I've been taught that Reiki is great at removing the blockages, like
Mhm.
getting the energy flowing again. But then, really, where that energy, those blockages come from, is in the subconscious.
Right.
Um, that's where people have these problems. And if you don't actually address that, then it does just keep recurring. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that hypnotherapy is essential for everything, honestly, if you really want to be well.
I
Uh,
agree. Yeah. I've just seen so many, like I know we both have just seen so many transformations for people that are just like night and day. And there's a certain magic in the trance state. It's just like, and a lot of it I can't even explain. It's a feeling, like I just know from the depths of my being the value of it, and what it can do for, because 94 to 98% of everything we do is governed by the subconscious mind. So yeah, if you want to be healthy, I think hypnosis is very vital to having a good relationship with the thing that runs 94 to 98% of everything you do in a day.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
don't have as much control as we think we do, with our conscious.
Yeah. Um, I'm not even sure control is the right word, even though I've used it.
Right.
But yeah, I think it is a partnership.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot like having a partnership with your pet or even your home,
Hmm.
being master of your home. Um, it's not like you built your house. Most people haven't, but
Right.
you can have a good relationship with it, understanding every part of it, how it works, and keeping it clean. Um, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a great way. I love that analogy. I actually haven't heard anyone put it that way, but yeah, that's perfect to
Yeah,
describe that.
yeah, that kind of just came to me. Um, some ways I've used both hypnosis and energy healing is, for example, with tinnitus, which is something I've had for years. It's mostly in my left ear is the loudest. I think where the most damage has been done from noise over the years.
Hmm.
Um, I don't go out in loud environments anymore at all. I don't go to concerts or anything. I stay home most of the time just because even in public with um like in the city, I get overstimulated. My nervous system naturally is just sensitive. And so I that's why I do this work so that I can afford to stay home more. Um,
Same, actually. That's exactly, yeah, I totally resonate with that because I'm so sensitive to, if I go out in public, um, like I just feel this sense of unrest. Like, just like, get me out of here. Like, um, it's, it's overwhelming.
mhm. It is. I think you and I both classify as empaths and
Yeah.
more than they understand. Um, yeah, so with sensitive nervous systems, and for my case in particular with tinnitus, I started with tinnitus hypnotherapy shortly after enrolling with the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. And I was lucky enough to work with an intern who was certified in tinnitus treatment. And so I've also been certified in that too since, but his help, we were working together for months and he really helped me, not just with his sessions, but with the self-hypnosis that he helped teach me and then the practice of that and all of that hypnotherapy work did turn down my tinnitus. And so that's why I love to offer that service to people who need it. Um,
Mhm.
it the reason I pursued that at first was after the second COVID vaccine shot in I think that was in May 2021. 2 days after I got that shot, um, my tinnitus spiked up from like maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10 as it normally used to be, um, to like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10, and I just could not
Oh,
work.
wow.
And so, yeah, I was at first freaking out and didn't even know if it would go down or if it can. And so, because I had already learned a bit about tinnitus and I knew there wasn't really a medical cure for it, and medical doctors didn't do anything for me anyway, hardly. They didn't help it. I tried that tinnitus hypnotherapy and it really did work. And so,
Mhm.
since so that's one way that just hypnosis and subconscious work did help turn down my tinnitus. And now it's usually down to maybe a 2 to 3 range most of the time, if I'm not overstimulated. Um, and so, yeah, hypnotherapy works great for that and almost everything with the body. If it's not like a direct injury, most diseases can be helped with hypnotherapy. Um, Even though with injuries, it can help with pain management. Also found with Reiki, um, I think is especially when I do the position over my ears and around my head.
Mm-hmm.
Reiki does help turn down my tinnitus, I've noticed. So that helps. I think um, soothing the nervous system is one thing that it does or can do if that's needed.
Yeah, it definitely does, because whenever I do self Reiki, and I also have clients that are, they this is their experience as well with during my sessions, but after, like after I'm done with Reiki, it just feels like my body is like kind of like if it was kind of like really tight and, you know, all over the place, like it just feels like somebody like put their hands on my shoulders, and it's like, that sense of calm, like my entire body. And yeah, you can literally feel the effects of it on the nervous system, no doubt. And
Yeah,
it works so fast also.
yeah, quite quickly. Another thing I've observed with Reiki is that sometimes it's even more effective than hypnotherapy in some ways of like really penetrating the subconscious and psyche if
Hmm.
it's necessary. Um, Hypnotherapy is great, especially if you know what you're working with and how to approach it. But even beyond that, Reiki, like it's kind of like how we can just how we can go somewhere and fix something if we know what's broken. But then it's kind of like Reiki is it's kind of like a water element that it can seep into cracks that we don't even know about, or
Hmm.
it gets everywhere.
Another thing I've noticed about because I do a self Reiki treatment every evening before bed, and it's really interesting how as I move down the body um with the Reiki, different memories will come out, at different spots in the body, and, old traumas or things I'm worried about, or, whatever. And then it kind of brings it up. So then you have that opportunity to actually work through it, which is where hypnosis comes in, because then oftentimes I'll run an incident in my own head the way I would with a client as I'm doing the Reiki, and then kind of alchemize that energy on the spot and stay present with it as long as it needs to, letting that energy out as big as it wants to be, letting it unfold in that way, whatever way it wants, and then but then changing that subconscious program, um and it's really effective, I've found, is like, and yeah, things that you didn't even know were there, but the Reiki kind of gets in there and removes those energetic imprints and blobs. um just feels like, my energy feels so much smoother and less broken up the more of Reiki and hypnosis that I do. But yeah, they each have their own unique ways of healing us, but definitely compatible with each other. And sometimes there's a need for both for the same thing, for the same issue, kind of hitting it from both angles.
Yeah. I have to say that you're a brave soul for doing Reiki before you go to bed. When I've done Reiki at night, usually it keeps me up at night. It
I've
just
had that happen to me before. It usually actually it gives me what my body's needing. But that being said, sometimes when I do a bunch of Reiki during the day, I won't sleep for half of the night because I'm just like so amped up on the energy.
yeah,
And it's usually when I work with clients that that happens. Um, like the few times it has, but when I do it myself Reiki, it usually gives me what my body needs. So if I'm a little bit tired, then it'll help me drift into sleep. And if I'm not tired though, then yeah, there is that also possibility that it could energize me and then maybe I won't sleep for a while. So and that's really an interesting aspect of it too is um how powerful it is. It's like a testament of how powerful the energy is, when it can. But I think as long as I'm like in that kind of relaxed space, then it can help me fall asleep. But I definitely could see how it keeps you up too, because it just adds so much, like, it just amps your energy field up.
yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I just tend to do Reiki in the morning after I wake up. Um, Usually less than an hour, but yeah, I do it in the morning to help me wake up. Um, Also, usually my dog is right next to me after I wake up, so I do it on her. And she was rescued from Mexico. She's found as a stray on the streets, and um, we rescued her. My wife and I rescued her with a lot of PTSD, and especially after we rescued her, um, she'd be, and still she's a little bit wary of my feet, but she would be especially afraid of my feet even when I was walking slowly. And
Hmm.
I learned to not walk quickly around her, but um, yeah, she was definitely abused by men more than women, probably just men, and especially big dogs. I can tell that she's had problems with big dogs, probably conflicts. Um, so she gets skittish around them, and even though she's small, she's a little Chihuahua mix. Um, she lunges and bares her teeth at dogs, and especially big dogs, as if she could win or hurt them. But
How cute.
and then I've been doing Reiki on her for about 5 days consistently, and she's already become a lot more calm, I think, with bigger dogs around or passing by them at least. Um, Except today we went for a walk and they weren't even walking toward us or walking away from us, but a lady and a golden retriever way down the street. She was getting nervous about. Um, I had to pull her along anyway, but um, yeah, I think that's probably one thing that um, maybe just some trauma or fear was coming up from her from recent sessions, and
Hmm.
that can happen, of course. So, animal Reiki helps animals a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm actually doing Reiki on a kitty on Saturday. I have an appointment up in the mountains. Um, I'm going up to do a house cleanse, Reiki for the owner and Reiki for the pup or the kitten. So it should be an awesome time. Um, yeah, and it does. I've had some incredible results with animals, even through distance.
Hmm.
Reiki also, like I worked on a kitty up in Canada. And apparently the cat is doing wonderful. We did like 3 or 4 distance treatments with certain sound healing frequencies for the cat, and was having some behavior issues and some health issues, and the owner, she let me know that that had all resolved since our sessions. So, some people might say that's just a coincidence, but I don't think it is. I think that there's a lot more to Reiki than our human minds can ever conceptualize, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm never gonna understand um fully. And I think that's part of the magic of it too. I don't know how you feel about that, but it just feels like that element of it is almost more, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that, and that is um, something I've kind of accepted with hypnotherapy and Reiki, that there's so much to how Reiki energy works, even life energy in general, and how the subconscious mind works. It's always
Mhm.
adapting, I think, kind of like an octopus. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I don't think we will ever completely understand it like science or something, even though there is science to it too. Uh,
Mhm.
just like it's always changing, and so it's not like something that a textbook can be made of or made for and call it definitive. Um, at the same time, I've tried to understand as best I can the mechanics of things, and I do believe that we are just flesh suits for our souls or spirits, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And the soul itself, or I've learned it's a portion of the soul that can inhabit a body. The rest of it is in the spirit world, as I call it. Um, and then that soul, this is something kind of quantum too, I'm still trying to understand better, is that a soul comes into a body, but it's not a blank slate. It comes in and is hardwired to the energy body, which is also, I think, a kind of like a perfect projection of everything that soul has been in other bodies, especially as that soul has um, agreed to in soul contracts and wants to be again, or wants to experience again, and things are unresolved, and there's so much to it. But I'll probably have to make some videos just about those topics alone.
I think that would be fascinating to dive deeper on that, because like soul contracts, and because I help a lot of women bring, like, communicate with the souls on the other side that are coming in, like people that are trying to conceive children.
Mhm.
And I've used hypnosis and energy healing both to help with that. And it's so complex that could be a whole nother hour long or 2 hour long YouTube video on just that stuff. Because
Yeah,
but it's fascinating.
I think we'll have to collaborate on what we understand of that so far. But yeah, that's amazing work. I haven't, well, that's amazing work that you're working on and doing. I'd love to learn more about doing that. Um,
Hmm.
the only other place or source that I've heard that, or maybe there's some other ancient religions that talk about this, um, but the source I was introduced that idea from is the Sasquatch Messages to Humanity books, and it's a Sasquatch knowledge that I think used to be ancient human knowledge too, more commonly, that we lost through our many falls in the eras. Um, that babies and people they aren't just creations of our sexuality or procreation. They are they are souls just as we all are.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are practices that can be learned of um, basically conscious procreation in the way that you connect with the spirit world in that process to intentionally bring in a soul, the next soul. And more than that, um, I believe that people can get to know this, like actually learn about and get to know the soul they're bringing in,
Mm-hmm.
children.
Yes.
I have for many years been aware of my future children and what they look like, and especially my future son has talked to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because people can have these experiences just um, even without planning to, of contact with their future children. I did when I was in college, just in a college class. I think I was a little short on sleep that day in a lecture one morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I just I closed my eyes for a few seconds and then just saw this young boy who I hadn't seen before, but I thought he looked a lot like I used to when I was that age,
Mm-hmm.
except slightly different. I think he has my wife's eyes or will. Anyway, yeah, he's told me a lot. I know a lot
Mm-hmm.
how he will be, and I think we have his name figured out. Anyway, all that
Well, it's exciting. Congrats.
can be kind of personal to talk about too. But yeah, that's something that happens with people, especially us sensitive people,
Mm-hmm.
psychics, that just happen to or can.
Yeah, I had a client last week. And we've been doing work, communicating with her son that isn't in this realm yet. And we found out some really useful information through the session, though, about her own safety. And that's what was so cool about, or the takeaway from that session was we learned that he didn't feel safe coming in because she didn't feel safe.
Hmm.
So we found some ways in the trance state to help her feel safer. She established a kind of like a safety, it was like a safety light or something that she was able to see around her. And now that's a huge comfort to her. And she let me know that she's feeling like way more safe. She kind of had a better understanding of what the kid needs in order to get here. um and yeah, it's really exciting when I am able to, and that's why I love doing this work, because it's like there's nothing more rewarding than really helping someone make, you know, they're the ones that are getting the insight, but like to be there for that process is such an honor to, be there for that process. And then I am as excited for my clients as myself, like when they have a win, that's a win for me too.
Yeah, I get that. Um, I haven't done that type of work yet. Although,
I'm
it,
sure there's a lot you've done that I haven't done yet, because
yeah,
it seems like our paths are very similar, but then also, we've kind of both had different types of work that we've done on different directions, but
Yeah,
heading the same place.
I'm sure. What is that work called? What would you call that?
I would it's transpersonal hypnotherapy,
Okay.
or alchemal hypnotherapy. Like I'm a alchemal hypnotherapist and transpersonal. So it's more the spiritual realm of hypnotherapy, which is more what I do. Like I'll help people with anything that I'm good at helping people with, but um that's really my passion, is really that, like, using hypnotherapy and energy healing to access those higher states of consciousness, help people journey for resources and guidance. And that's kind of what I teach, I teach my methods of how to help people go on these soul journeys where they get to find their own answers, more so than, you know, me throwing suggestions to them. It's more I take them into that state, and then will it's kind of this empty space, but we don't know what's going to happen in that space. And so um it's whatever it needs to be for that person, but it's a really beautiful, loving process for sure.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that. I think that's similar to some of what I've done. Um,
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've done, because you do a lot of like journey work, don't you?
yeah, um, I would describe what I do as journeys. I call it the inner landscape, but this is
Mm-hmm.
one way I was taught of doing hypnotherapy from HMI. They can be clinical, but for me, it's also turned into more of a
Totally.
quantum something process. And so I guide a person into their inner realm or inner landscape. Um, I do like to frame it as a place, their
Mm-hmm.
place, something like that, and a place they visit. Sometimes this changes with people. Sometimes it's different every time. Sometimes it just changes over time. Mine just recently changed. Um, my inner landscape used to actually for years it was my own little island, and there was a lot I did with that island. I probably still can visit that if I want to.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's still in there. And I've
Yeah.
actually done a similar thing as well. So it's super powerful for sure.
Yeah, just recently mine presented itself as a red rock desert, like in Sedona area,
Uh-huh.
Sedona. But it was neat because I actually, um just like other times, I got into that space and it literally looked and felt like I was there. And then I started talking with the Red Rock mountain formations, and they gave me some specific advice of something I was dealing with. And so that's something I'm still working on, but it's quite interesting in that type of space.
Mhm.
Almost anything can be your teacher. Sometimes it presents itself as a humanoid figure of some sort, a guide. Sometimes it's an animal, sometimes it could be
Absolutely.
just a light or an object.
Yeah, it can be a color, it could be a person and a light being. Like, these inner guides can be, it's funny because I was just teaching this yesterday. But like all the different forms that these guides can come through for people as, and it's like the same energy might present differently to you than it would to me, depending on whatever our psyche can conceptualize it as, is who I believe it's going to be brought through as. So it's like, if I could relate better with a bison spirit guide, then it's going to deliver that information through the bison to me,
Mhm.
whereas you might have a different figure that is, you know, that it's going to sink into your psyche better through that figure.
Yeah.
Um, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I, I don't know if you've found this, but I've found that that inner realm, inner landscape, literally can be a very real place, a real
Hmm.
place to visit. Um, Not only can it be very real for each individual, but it can be like kind of like a hub or plaza meeting place for other things to come in too. And that's something I kind of learned the hard way in a way when I was doing sessions with friends for free a while back. I did this one session, let me think. Yeah, it was all remote sessions that day. Um, but I did this one session with a walk-in friend of mine, and he has some also more than me, kind of crazy and funky energies. Some dark, some neutral, some light, um, all kinds of beings around him. And so I did a session with him, but then because I wasn't really taught this in my hypnotherapy training, I didn't bother closing um, the connection or the portal,
Hmm.
call it. And then shortly after that, I did another session with another friend by phone, and she visited her inner landscape and told me that it had been vandalized, basically. Someone had gone in there and messed everything up, and it was a mess. And so then we had to
Hmm.
take her into a different space. I did, and helped her find that new space. And basically, I learned that this inner landscape can be so real that it can be visited even when you're not there, I guess. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's a huge part of, you know, like it needs to be like if it gets opened, but that's okay too. It's like, because I don't know how many times when I was first starting out, um, that I didn't have that like insight to, yeah, there was a time when like I didn't have that foresight to um like I had forgotten to do it, and a couple things like that had happened when I first started out. So yeah, but it happens, and then it's like now next time, right?
yeah, and that leads to one point I want to make is about setting boundaries and protection before you start. Um, this can be for therapy and healing sessions. It also applies, I think, for everything that's intentional and sacred. If you just um, some people do their own ceremonies, some people do even writing time or creative time can be a sacred thing for,
Mm-hmm.
and so casting protection is important. Um, it can be just a simple invocation phrase of just calling in angels or guides or whatever you believe in, or just vocalizing your boundaries and what you do and do not allow. And yeah, that's definitely important. Of course, Reiki teaches that, and
Mm-hmm.
the starting process is the invocation to really set the filter.
Yeah. And yeah, that's another good thing about that Reiki has helped me because I was into hypnotherapy first, and Reiki has really helped me to help protect my energy, set those energetic boundaries. So yeah, it's a beautiful mixture, and we get so much from both of them for sure.
I feel like I kind of ran out of things to talk about right now. Is there anything else on your mind?
I think that was a pretty good, you know, overview of. Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and it's an amazing journey, so definitely glad that we're both on this journey, and learning and helping other people learn and uplifting the planet with this work.
Definitely. I'm glad we're connected, Derek. Before we end, let's just both give out our information and where people can.
Yeah. So I'll go. Mine is, I can be reached on my website at www.dgtwellness.com, and that includes, ways to get a hold of me. You can book sessions, whatever you need. And also I do free consults, because I always like to get to know people before I ask for money, because there gives us both an opportunity, A, to make sure I can help you, and B, that you feel that I'm the right fit to help you. So
Yeah, I agree. And my website is newbeinghypnosis.com. I can be reached there. All of my information is there. I'm adding some more details and still in the process of that, but newbeinghypnosis.com. I can be reached also on Facebook as Troy J. Bacon. It's my
oh,
public.
me too. I can, yeah, mine is Derrick Ivey, just my name, Derrick Ivey, on Facebook too.
I also have a Patreon account that people can sign up for, especially continuing clients, to get discounts on each session, and
Oh, awesome.
probably start adding some free sessions for each tier and more features to that Patreon account. That's just Troy J. Bacon as well.
That
Um,
sounds awesome.
yeah. What else? I have accounts on Twitter and LinkedIn, but I rarely post on those anymore. They're just not quite my thing. Um, I continue to make fundraisers and support the Reality Orphanage, and that's an orphanage I'm in contact with in Uganda. I'm in contact with the founder of that. He is honestly kind of struggling as he's doing it all on his own pretty much, and doesn't have like an outside uh, government or a large charity organization helping him. And so um, I'll be posting more of those fundraisers soon on Facebook as well. I believe that is the end of this broadcast. Thank you very much.
Great.
And I, as we are all sacred beings, I wish everyone great blessings from the starlight of Sirius. And I hope that you continue to benefit from following your own wisdom and guidance, however it comes through for you.
Talk soon.
Bye for now.